My name is Nick Matson, and this is my case study 8.1. I chose to do the case study of Davis versus Monroe, the County Board of Education. Um, like I said, it's for case study 8.1. So, what happened? Basically, LaShonda Davis was a fifth grader at Hubbard Elementary School in Monroe County, Georgia, had been alleging that a classmate was sexually harassing her in class. Around December 1992, her classmate, known as GF, would try and sexually touch LaShonda, as well as say sexual things like, "I would like to get into bed with you," among many other things. LaShonda had reported these things to her mother, the principal, and teacher when they happened. However, no action was taken against GF, yet the trouble had kept continuing. The harassment continued, and in mid-May, so roughly 6 months later, GF was charged with sexual assault and pled guilty. During this time, LaShonda had suffered a slip in her grades and even her mental health, to the point to where her father one day had found a note that said, it was a suicide note, which read that she didn't know how much longer she could keep GF off of her. It got to the point where multiple girls went with her to the principal trying to talk to him, which a teacher then at one point turned them down and said, "If he really wants to talk to you, he will call you," which obviously is not the kind of answer that they were looking for. LaShonda finally met with the principal, to which, after they talked, he basically said that he would just have to threaten GF a little harder next time, and no more effort was made beyond that. So obviously she was frustrated, not handled in the way that it should have been handled, and that was that. So what happened next? On May 4th, 1994, a suit was filed in the United States District Court against the school board. The lawsuit was brought under Title IX and saying that no person shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation and be denied the benefits of or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. So monetary and injunctive relief was claimed. So the case, the district found that the school knew what was going on, but basically did nothing to prevent further issues. However, the claim was denied because on federal claims they can be addressed, not private, can be taken when it is student to student issues. So that case then went on to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and at that time the court found the same that the district found, that the student-on-student harassment did not fall under that law to where that they had anything to do with the case. So then eventually it was taken to the Supreme Court on January 12th, 1999, and to my surprise, just assuming what had happened in the district court and the others, that the Supreme Court saw things differently. Justice O'Connor stated that the school would be liable when the school officials, so the president or the principal, the board, etc., had knowledge of what was going on but chose to do nothing about it, and not to the fact that they didn't know and they didn't try something, but they didn't go to the extent of suspension, of this, of that. So really they did nothing to try to help the girl out. After the Supreme Court, since the court found that the board knew what was going on, they found LaShonda was in an unsafe and an unfair environment during that time. The vote was 5-4 under Title IX that school boards would now be liable for not stopping student-to-student harassment if they knew about it, that they need to take further action. So what I took away from this was be prepared. Especially like today, you never know whether you're in an elementary school, if you're in a middle school, if you're in a high school, what things could be going on said from kid to kid. You never know how accurate that is. Somebody could be crying wolf. Somebody could be straight up lying to try to get somebody else in trouble. Or on the other side, you could have somebody that is sexually harassing somebody, and you would need to know what your next step is when that happens, or when somebody comes to you, whether it's legit or it's not. then you got to know your stuff. When the parents come in, when your principal asks you, or if the superintendent asks you, you got to know who said what, when was it, know the logistics of it, know what you need to do next, whether that is look into your handbook and it needs to be a suspension, it needs to be calling parents in for a parent meeting, like whatever you stuck to, whatever you said in your handbook needs to be done is what needs to be carried through. You also need to know that part in your handbook like the back of your hand. So when a parent comes in and says, well, I want to know why this is happening to my child, I want to know this, then you can just straight up tell them, hey, here's why, here's what our school rule is, this is why we do what we do. I think the kids need to be aware of what they can do and what to look for. I don't think some kids understand if they're being sexually harassed. They might think it's a joke, where some kids that are harassing them, it's not a joke. They're doing it for their own pleasure. And kids just might think, oh, that was funny. Or the kids around them might be laughing, where the kids that are being assaulted, that are being harassed, aren't going to speak up. So the friends that see it can speak up. Let them know who to talk to, whether it's the counselor, whether it is their teacher, whether it's mom and dad, whether it's have a friend let another friend know, hey, this is what's going on and I don't like it and I think that it's wrong. Know what you can do in a situation. Know like what your rights are legally within the school, how you can help a kid out from all the above. So the situation was an awful one. Unfortunately, I think it happens more and more. It's only going to happen more and more with today's society. So knowing what to do would be best.